Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Overlay, a poker podcast brought to you by CCG Poker Radio and Paramount Social Club. I'm in beautiful Houston, Texas today. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. Like, it is legitimately... Hold on, I got to get my watch so I can tell the temperature because I only have this Apple Watch for two reasons. It's not for time. One of it is to know the temperature. 61 degrees. It is 61 at 10:45 in the morning on April 2nd. This will be the first time, too, that we were recording and releasing the episode on the same day, because we just haven't been able to connect. But besides...
So we're in, like, real time here, kind of.
Real time. If you guys are listening to this on April 2nd, this conversation just happened a few hours ago.
Well, it's 40 degrees and cloudy in Chicago, so...
It's so weird, and this is a day in the life of Ken, which is kind of appropriate for this episode. It is our happy one-year anniversary, so Brandon, this is the first time in my entire adult life, contrary to popular belief, that I have ever shared an anniversary with another man.
Nice.
Are you?
I can say the same.
It's weird to say...
honored.
You, Brandon, as a man, because I don't think of you as like a man. I think of you as like 17-year-old Brandon, and you're
Right,
like
like a kid.
30 now, and I'm 40, and it's like this reckoning in my brain where it's like I'm in my mind I'm like 25, and you're like 17.
You're 25 and I'm 17. Yeah.
Right, which is not the exact math, but like I'm 27, you're 17 because we're 10 years apart. But
Yes.
in my mind, that's what we are. But that's not reality.
No, in 10 years, I mean, you're going to be 50 and I'm going to be 40.
No,
and it's going to get weird.
it's not even 10. It's like
weird.
9. So yeah, happy 1-year anniversary to the Overlay. Incredible. I know I say this all the time, but like it blows me away that this podcast has become, as popular as it is. It used to make me giddy and kind of fun when people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, I really love the vlog and it's so cool." And I'm like, "But I'm really just reading the internet." And that's it. Like that's all I'm like all I'm doing is telling you guys about the event and like what tournaments are coming up and like maybe some
Which
cool,
is literally on the internet.
yeah, like at best from the vlog, all you're gonna get is like some insider tips where I'm like, "Yo, on Saturdays at Bridgeview, you need to get there before 1:45 because that's when the line starts." It's like besides that, like it's just like, okay, tomorrow's going. It's like me reading the You ever hear like the weather people? Today's going to be 61 degrees and sunny with a slight breeze of 5 to 10 miles an hour. Like it's the same shit that's on the weather app. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm a freaking weatherman for poker. I'm the poker weatherman. The poker man. I don't know. There's got to be something in there copyrighted that we can do. But yeah, 1-year anniversary. Speaking of old people, I was telling a story. I'm in Texas. For the Paramount Social Club Stack Tournament, which again, if my Houston peeps are listening to this today, April 2nd, tomorrow is the Stack Tournament. So kind of breaking news, they have upped the guarantee to $10K.
From what?
It's like $7,500.
That's big.
25% increase. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but for a $120 buy-in, like a 10K guarantee is dope. I mean, they get a really busy one. Anyways, my whole point of talking about the vlog and how exciting it was when people come up to me and like, "Man, I really like the vlog." I'm now getting that from people for the podcast. It's like, "Oh man, it's so good." Like I kind of feel like the vlog's taken a back seat because now like the Overlay's like top Ken's and Brandon's like baby project, which is pretty cool.
It is, especially since it started off as kind of just like we should do this type of thing.
We'll just see what happens.
I mean, we did talk about doing it for a year before we actually did it.
It's really our 2-year anniversary.
Pandemic.
Yeah. It's like we were just hooking up for a year and then we became official like a year ago. So yeah, that's weird to think about. 7,438 downloads as of April 3rd at 10 minutes to 11. That's crazy. So in 1 year,
2nd.
we almost hit 7,500 downloads. But so anyways, back to Texas. I'm jumping all over the place today, but this is what's like in Ken's brain.
Yeah.
So I'm in Texas. I was telling a story last night about when I was like just out of college, like 21, 22 years old and blah, blah, blah. I'm telling a story. And then I was like, holy shit, that was 20 years ago. What?
Yeah. That was like your whole life doubled up again.
Yeah,
like you had a whole nother life.
I had a whole nother life between now and that story. And I was like, wow, this is rough. anyways, nobody felt bad for me. But 10K guarantee tomorrow for the stack peeps. So if you're in Texas and you mentioned the overlay, you do get a discount in the room.
Come on.
Yeah. You save like $10 if you subscribe and do like the little 5-star review when you get there. Obviously you have to listen to the podcast, which you're listening to the podcast, so now you know. And like if you take that extra step and subscribe and hit the 10K, the 5-star review, which on Apple Podcast is literally 3 seconds of your time. That is the best.
Click, submit.
Best ROI of your life. $10 for 3 seconds a time. I wish I could do that all day long. I'd be a 10,000 error by the end of the day.
Easy.
Just
giving 5-star reviews.
Uh-huh.
Just ding, 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 ding.
1 year anniversary, Brandon. So what are we going to talk about in the anniversary episode? Because that's what we're calling this one.
You that.
Yeah, the anniversary episode. We're still kind of like kicking around ideas of like what it's going to be and how it's going to happen. So it's just going to be on the fly. But you actually wanted to come up with some, we want to do some little backstories, right? Like we're a year into this. Some people know us pretty well from the Chicago poker scene. Some people now are starting to know me down in Houston, which is great. I love Houston. The poker here is bananas, Brandon. I cannot wait till we can make a trip soon. It's got to be the summer. It's going to be bananas. I might even have Paramount do like a special Brandon tournament just to have some fun with you. It'd be like your own meetup game.
Nice. We put like a $250 bounty on my head, and I'll bust 4 times. It'll cost you $1,000. It'll be great.
Yeah. But we wanted to go a little bit of backstory on kind of how Brandon and Ken got into the game of poker and how we ended up here X amount of years later talking on a podcast called The Overlay with 7,500 downloads since 1 year ago today.
Sweet.
So you go
first.
You
want me to just start? You want me to just dive in?
No, you go first. Brandon, hey, this is Ken, your co-host with the most.
Ken.
How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Today's question is, Brandon, how did you get into the game of poker, and where do you see yourselves 5 years from now?
Ooh,
yeah. Well, it's like those interview questions. I had to Google how to interview people because I had to interview somebody for Texas.
It's so funny because I was wondering like how you're going to interview.
No,
I was actually thinking, I was like,
he showed up like in a suit. I wore Ken's standard garb. If you ever seen me either in Texas or in Chicago, like it's jeans and a black sweatshirt. Like that's it. That's just
Did you
what
wear
I
a scarf in the middle of the summer?
I didn't. It's 65 down here. Like even the sweater's mildly inappropriate. But in Texas, it's so warm that people like 65 is like their 40.
Cold.
So yeah. So like I don't stick out at all. Except
it's like California when they get a half inch of snow, everybody's like freaking out.
Like the
or
apocalypse,
like in Chicago,
right.
It's like
you'd have thought somebody saw a zombie running around chomping on brains. Anyways, Brandon, tell us legitimately, where does Brandon's poker career start? Give us like the beginning, kind of the.
Oh, I got beginning, middle, and end. Well, not end.
Well, not end, but at least where you're at now. Fire away.
All right, so I mean, we're looking rewind back to 2002. 2003.
Oof, nice.
So that puts me at like 12, 13.
Oh my God. Yeah, go ahead.
It really all started with like Moneymaker. I'm literally the quintessential Moneymaker boom.
Did you see the money? I'm assuming it was an April Fool's joke. Did you see the Moneymaker? Like his real name is Chris Williams or something?
No.
Yeah, like there's this whole poker. It's on Poker News. I will post it on Facebook for both companies. But yeah,
I'm not kidding you. Like I thought it was a joke. Like I was like, "There's no way this guy's named Moneymaker and he's playing poker on ESPN." Like I remember watching it in the summer when I was like 12, 13 off school and be like, "Wow, this dude's last name's really Moneymaker." Like this, I thought they had like nicknames and stuff. And then he won, and then he became kind of popular, and then the internet scene kind of blew up. And this was right when I'm just chatting on AIM every night for 7 hours because this is what kids did in 2002. And then somehow it was Absolute Poker and Party Poker were like the first two that I kind of dabbled on. I was like a 12, 13-year-old kid. So I'd get like my dad to deposit $50 or, play a free roll or whatever, ask for like a Visa gift card for my birthday so I could put money on there. Just stupid little stuff that a 13-year-old would do. And
playing
then,
like micro stakes when micro stakes were like real micro stakes where you could play like 1 penny, 2 penny cash games.
Yeah, like
you can't do that anymore.
No.
Do the legal poker sites like Like if you live in New Jersey, does PokerStars still offer like a 1 cent,
Yeah.
2 cent? They do.
Yeah, they have 1, 2, 2 cent, 5 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 10 cent, 25.
It's
all the
so
way up.
gross to like break it down to think that like for a 1-2 no limit player, like playing $1, $2, and then to make the jump to like 2-5, and then like what's the jump to 5-10? Like it's so funny to think about that in the micro sense, because like truly, if you want to do it and be treat it like a business or like an actual like research, you know what I mean, like a real thing. Like you're not just like me. I just blew all my money as quickly as possible. I never really cared, but it's wild to think about, like, what do you need to do if your bankroll's $1.47 and you're playing 1-2? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
It's so fucking crazy.
It is.
It's so like minute, but like in honesty, like that's where you start. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, I had to pipe in there.
You're good. But side story, that streamer Matt Staples, he put the micro stakes and had like one $40 deposit, and now he's got over like $500,000 in his PokerStars bankroll.
Playing the silly games, and I call them silly games.
No, just going all the way up the ladder, starting with like 2 cent, 5 cent, bankroll managing to 5 cent, 10 cent, all the way up to $2 tournaments to $20 tournaments to now he plays the 500s.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Is that how he got started in? Or was this like something he did after he was like mildly famous and then started doing it? Or
no, it was like his brother was a streamer and was really good, and then he was just like, I'll start streaming too, and just like I'll deposit $50. Then he got a lot better. But anyways, back to Brando. I remember I was in, now fast forwarding, like I'm like 15, 16. We actually played a $10 buy-in fall classic tournament in high school every year over fall break. And our junior year, we had over 100 kids in it, and we organized it.
Yeah, and what was the buy-in on that one?
$10. It was like a live tournament where like each kid would like host like 2 tables.
That shit I don't feel like happens anymore.
Oh,
like,
it doesn't. There's no way.
Everybody's
it was like
all
the whole
like
high school knew about it.
I feel like the one thing that's different between poker in 2000 and poker in 2020, and I'm just using that 20 years later, is that people are like, nobody wants to do those, like, at least I don't feel like or maybe we're in a different part of the poker industry. I don't know. Nobody,
maybe we just don't know about it.
They don't make it like I remember the same thing, like playing these like $5 tournaments, and you would think like right now, like, who the hell, what? Like, why would you waste your time? But like, it was like, I remember playing on Full Tilt and like ripping like $3 tournaments and just like firing off bullets left and right. And then you bink one, it was like $180. You were like, yeah. Remember like the 36-man sit and goes?
Yeah.
Those were my favorite.
They're all, everything was just so
that was a
simple
good,
and
fun
fun
time.
and easy.
Yeah.
But
I dig the $10 tournament.
Yeah. Fast forwarding a little bit, me and my buddy won a free roll into a $200 AP tournament, Absolute Poker. It was a $200 buy-in, $200K guarantee. We got 5th in that for like $8K.
Was that during the
as like a 15-year-old?
Was that during the what do you call it? The super user time frame?
I think it was. I don't know. It's like 2005.
Can't imagine when
that guy was around.
Yeah,
Hot Ripper.
I think that was like right before Black Friday, which was like 2008. So that might have been like.
Yeah, no. Black Friday was 2010.
Oh, it was?
Oh, yep. It's definitely 2010. Because I was in college. I was a junior in college. True. I remember waking up. I'll get to the college days in a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But
back to the $10 basement tournaments.
My dad literally took a net teller and cashed it all out, and we got $4,000 each, and that was kind of like the beginning of the poker career. Like,
wait, you won how much?
We got 5th for $8K. It was like
no
50K
shit.
to first, and we free rolled into the tournament. It was me and long hair Jimmy. We both
that is like the legit moneymaker effect right there. That's dope.
Yeah, it all happened because I was watching Moneymaker on.
Sure, you told me that
TV.
before, but.
Yeah, and so like then now we're 15, we're playing home games, 25, 50 cent, go to college. Now I'm playing Full Tilt. This is prime Full Tilt. 08, 2009, 2010, they got double guarantees. They got, I mean, their stuff is massive. I'm playing $33 heads up PLOs in class every day of college. Literally 7 days a week. If I'm in class, which was probably 80% me going to class, 20% me skipping class. If I'm in class, like I was playing and laptops were allowed, I was playing $33 heads ups. Just that was it.
That's hilarious.
And so then you fast forward a little bit to like post college, like senior year of college, long hair Jimmy, my roommate, Binked an F tops for 120K.
F tops, I remember those. He won 120,000.
He won 120K, and that was about 6 months before Black Friday.
I remember
that kind of re-evolved our.
You're right. It was definitely 2010 because I remember like being at CCG, talking to Jimmy about that, and like, you ever think you're going to get any of that money? Anyways, we could talk about that next. Go ahead.
Yeah, so his money got locked down, and now like we're past college. I had like 5K on FTP or on full FTP, and the poker world goes down, and now I've like been dabbling in like CCG this whole time. Like as a high schooler, once I turned 18, you start going to CCG, playing the live games. I remember, just being so devastated, like losing a $200 buy-in of cash and two $25 sin goes. You're a high school kid, you lose $250, you feel like shit. I mean, it's a lot of money for a high school kid. I mean, that's 10 gas tanks fill ups.
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So that gets us in, the internet really started the early days, and then going to CCG, and then after Jimmy banked that 120K and then got the money, which was probably about 2014, 2013. I mean, that takes us now up to 5-6 years ago. After that, the internet's been kind of, off. And then I just took my talents to the horseshoe, tried to gamble some 1-2, grinded the 1-2 scene while working at CCG.
1-2 PLO or 1-2?
No, 1-2 Hold'em.
Okay.
Just trying to make $600 on a weekend and take it to the casino on Monday, and hopefully it lasts till Thursday, and living with my parents. And it was pretty. That time kind of sucked. I had no money and no job and two college degrees and no career, and that kind of sucked. But then we got introduced to the great game of PLO.
Oh man!
And then it was
who invented or who trademarked that name, the great game of PLO? Was that Jerry Ingram?
I don't know,
or he just made it famous.
I think he probably just made it famous. I don't know, but it really is the great game.
Oh, it's great. Once you get into PLO, and I know we talk about PLO all the time, but you and I are PLO players. Like, we're not Hold'em players anymore. We're not.
Nope.
We've crossed over. We're not in we'll play, but it's like wiffle ball versus the major leagues. Like, I've been to the show. I don't want to go backwards. Anything less is farm league shit. Sorry, Hold'em players. It's the truth. Once you play PLO and you become like a schooled, not just river bingo, jamming it in there, just pop, just seeing what happens. Like, basically at that point, you're just doing flips, which, again, really fun. That part of the game is great. I'm perfectly fine. If that's the game, I love when people, and I don't want to bash, I'm not saying this to be mean. When people are like, I don't want to play a game, the action is too crazy. Telling somebody the action is too crazy is like one of your friends coming up to you and being like, that really hot girl or guy wants to talk to you, and you'd be like, nah, they're too hot. Too hot. You like how I made it sex gender wait, hold on. Gender neutral there. Could be hot guy, could be hot girl. We don't know if you're a guy who likes hot guys or a girl who likes hot girls. Doesn't matter. Either way, It's perfectly fine. Ken in 2021 is now mildly politically correct. MPIs.
More politically correct than in 2020.
NPCs. Mildly politically correct Ken. MPCKs. Whoa. But anyways, I love when people are like, nah, PLO's too much action. Bro, the whole point of going to a casino to play poker is for the action. It's like saying, no, that beer gets me too drunk. Why are you drinking it then?
Why are you in a bar then?
Right. Why did you come to a bar? If you don't like drinking, why did you go to a bar? If you don't like baseball games, why did you go to Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, Comiskey? Can I still call it Comiskey?
I think so.
I mean, I do. So it is what it is.
Now that it's guaranteed rate, you can't even call it that. Sell anymore.
I guarantee you, I ain't calling it that. Shout out to White Sox Brian. Let's see if WSB listens to these. Maybe you can convince him to listen to the 1-year episode. I would love to do an interview with Brian. So on air,
yeah, he's great.
He's one of my favorite players. He is hilarious in general. Him and I playing at that MSPT right next to each other, where he had aces and I had ace king. He just, he kind of gave me a look like, I want to knock you out, bro. And I was like, Brian, I'm going out on this hand. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm sacrificing this stack. I ain't going out like that. Sorry.
Didn't you flop an ace?
Yes,
too?
An ace flopped. Like, I was getting my money in. I was losing that hand. There was 0% chance. It was ace king suited. There was 10 minutes left before the end of day one, which means everybody's got to come back to day two. We're in Milwaukee. I don't have a room, which means I'm driving home.
And we're not in the money yet either.
So no, you're not in the money yet. I'm like, I literally had said at the table like a half an hour beforehand, I am not coming back tomorrow without either a much bigger stack than I got now, or I'm just not coming back. Like it's not worth me coming back. And then what happened to you?
I came back with like 12 big blinds, and then
Played one hand.
on the first hand, I was in the big blind. Button rips king 10, and I call with pocket fives from the big blind, and he just like turns a 10.
Yep.
And I was out in the first hand, and I don't know if I stayed in Milwaukee or I drove home and then drove back or slept in my car. I did something where I was like, wow, that really sucked.
Yeah, I told that like I'm like, Brandon, that's exactly what I didn't want to happen.
Oh, you know what I did? I drove like down. I don't know what I did.
It doesn't
I
matter.
think I drove down to
this
like
makes for great
Meadowlark
podcasting. Let's try to remember what Brandon drove or slept in his car. That's great.
It was bad. All I know is I busted the first hand.
How often do you have to?
I did what you said. I will never do this.
Yeah,
and then I did it.
How often do you have to sleep in your car when you forget something? In general, you're like a car sleeper guy.
That was funny.
That was
since I did that the other day.
Mm-hmm. Brandon forgot his phone at King's Hall. They locked the door, and he had to wait until 7:00 in the morning for the cleaning crew lady to come in, or the manager to come in to let the cleaning crew in, so that Brandon could get his phone. So it was great. And
it was.
And in his very depressive state, he went to McDonald's. Was like, man, I'm just going to get whatever I want at McDonald's. And then McDonald's was closed.
Yep. No,
that is the one thing.
I'm just going to order pancakes and syrup.
I'm just going to go nuts.
Yeah. And then I ended up going through a McDonald's drive-thru and was like, ooh, I can do it at McDonald's. I'm going to get a fish fillet and a crispy chicken sandwich.
Yeah, Denny's first. Yeah.
And then I was just like, yeah, hi, can I have a large Diet Coke, please? In which I had the lady's number to call her in the morning, which I happened to write down on a $5 bill because I had nothing else to write it down on. And the guy gave me the lady's number.
Go ahead.
And then I paid for the Coke with the $5 bill. So I didn't even have her number anymore. My Apple Watch wasn't synced up to my phone service.
That is hilarious.
I'm like texting KJ at 8 in the morning on my MacBook that has 4% battery. I'm like, please get her here. I need to go home.
Mm-hmm. She got there. What time she ended up getting there?
Like 8:15.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But
it wasn't. And then she's like, oh, why didn't you call me? And I'm like, oh, funny story about that.
Shut up.
The McDonald's guy has your phone number.
Yeah, because... What a lucky guy. Maybe those two end up getting together and married and living this wonderful life. And
because of me.
Right, because Brandon's having to sleep in his car again. Anyways.
Yeah.
Quickly for me.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Poker for me was different. My family played poker a lot. Like at family parties and stuff, my aunts and uncles, my grandfather, even my grandmother, she used to love a game. This is before Texas Hold'em was busy. So like, I remember for me, it wasn't the internet. Like you grew up with the internet poker phase as like a thing. I obviously didn't have that because the internet wasn't invented when I was 12 years old, but at least only for military use. But I remember being like, probably a little bit older. I remember being like, maybe 8th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I remember going to like family parties, and like after like so long, like the drinking would start or become more prevalent, and then like they would play the kitchen table games, right? Like, and you would legitimately use a bicycle deck of cards and then and you had like the old school poker chip set, which was just like the rotunda, with like the handle in the middle and the bicycle chips.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you have the bicycle chips, and they were like red, white, and blue, and then there were 2 slots for the decks of cards to go in, and like, man, when that thing got busted out, like one person was the banker, which is always funny because it was like this cross between Monopoly and poker, but like you legitimately would... you just give me $10 and like, okay, well, reds are nickels, quarters, or blues are quarters, and the white chips are dollars, and like that's what you would pay, like quarters, 5 cents, 25 cent, and $1 chips. And like, I remember buying in for like $10. So it was the same thing. Like you would play like 5 cents games, but then Texas Hold'em wasn't really a thing. I mean, obviously Texas Hold'em was around, but it wasn't the popular game. Like nobody played Texas Hold'em. And I'll get to that story too on my first experience with Texas Hold'em, which is funny now that I own and do so much in the poker industry that this was my first experience with Texas Hold'em, so I'm going to make it fun. But like we used to play 5-card draw and 7-card stud and all of these other games and like Guts. Do you remember Guts?
Like Guts to open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just call it guts. And like you would like put your hand. It's so funny because this is like the difference between 1990, 90s poker, early 90s poker, and 2020. Like when you would do
put your hand out with a coin, you drop
and you like put your hands underneath the table. It's like, in what game of poker right now would you be encouraged to put your hands underneath the table to try to deceive the rest of the players? Like, it's so funny. And then like you'd like bring your hand up, and then like everybody would be like, all right, guts. And then like you'd open up your hand and like you either had a chip in it or not. I don't know why you wouldn't just call, and like the whole like acting career of like holding it out. I don't really remember what that was for, but it was super fun. I remember that was one of my most favorite games. My grandmother, God bless her soul, it was just her birthday. She would have been 92, I think my aunt said, which is cool. Wow. Her birthday is St. Patrick's Day. So St. Patrick's Day in my house is super big. And also this last year, the girls, my daughters are 6 and 4. A little St. Patrick's Day side note. They wanted to try to catch a leprechaun. Like, that's a thing now. Like, that wasn't a thing when I was a kid. You never tried to like now kids are like actively like they sell kits on Etsy on like how to catch a leprechaun. There's like a book out, How to Catch a Leprechaun. It's super fun. Like, they love to do it. Because then I had to explain to them why at Easter, which is this weekend, how we're not trying to catch the Easter bunny. But yet it's perfectly fine to try to trap an Irish leprechaun. I don't know why the Irish, we just don't get any kind of nods. But anyways, my grandmother was very Irish. She was, Eileen is her name, born on St. Patrick's Day. My grandparents were married on St. Patrick's Day. Like, it was always a big, she was a big Irish Catholic. There was a lot of guilt there. It was great. But anyways, her favorite poker game was this game called Elevators.
Okay.
Which was a hybrid Hold'em game before we even knew it. Kind of like 3-board Omaha, but we called it Elevator. And the idea was you get 2 cards. I think I don't know. You got a number of cards, 2 or 4. I don't remember, but you got at least 2. And the idea was they would put out 1 flop. Okay. Just a regular flop. And then there would be betting. So you get 2 cards, you'd bet, you'd put down the flop, you'd bet, or a round of betting. Then another 3 cards would go above the original board. So now you got 6 cards out there. Two flops, basically. Yeah?
Yeah.
Follow me? Another round of betting. And then a third one would bang out, and it would be the bottom row. And the idea was you could do like crisscross. You could use any 3 boards horizontally or laterally. Crazy, right?
Yep.
You could go up and down, left or right, or you could do the diagonals. So there was 3, 6, 7, 8 different combinations that you could use. Is that right?
Sounds about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, right. Sideways, up and down. So that's 3. That's 6.
Yep.
2 diagonals. So anyways, it was super fun. So that was when it was like this Texas Hold'em variant that I always remember. And actually, maybe we should start doing some flips that way. That might be kind of fun. And it was just called Elevator or Elevators. And it was a wild game that she loved. But we would play Dime Store and baseball 7-card stud games and, buying the extra cards with the 4 hits. I mean, it was so much fun. It was kind of like flips because nobody really bet anybody out. I mean, it was 25 cent, 50, nickels and dimes. Like, it wasn't very much. And sometimes when we would get big enough games and we didn't have enough bicycle chips, you just actually play with nickels and dimes.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No. And I would say I would remember like my dad giving me like $5 and me having some change that I brought from home. So I'd have like an $8 buy-in, and like my grandpa would buy in for like $20, and he's just pounding a bottle of Southern Comfort, and he loves Southern Comfort. I don't know why. That was way too sugary, but he could drink. And him just ripping $20 buy-ins left and right.
Yeah, I have some experience with that because we play literally the exact same thing on Christmas. Like, my grandma, my uncle, my aunt, my dad, like, it was like save up your change and bring it to Christmas. Quarter max bet, all limit. You bet you any dimes, you any nickels. We always play with straight.
Oh
change.
Yeah, it was definitely limit. Like, you would just like. I mean, I guess it was no limit on some things, but like for the most part, like when you play,
it's quarter,
it was just limit.
Quarter,
yeah,
and a quarter.
I guess occasionally, it's not like we ever played no limit 5-card draw. I guess maybe occasionally you did, but like it was weird. It would turn into like random no limit betting at times. But anyways,
But yeah, mostly. And then we do the same thing like Deuces Wild, 5 card, 7 card, like Shady Lady, where if the Queen of Spades comes up, you redeal the whole thing out.
well, and you don't get cool stuff like this anymore. Like,
no, it's all these variants
you get
of
like
5 and 7 card
you play
games.
Chicago, which is the high spade in the hole wins half the pot.
Yep,
like funny stuff like that.
Exactly. We play that every Christmas.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
I would pick like Hold'em, and then everybody like, what? Deal out 2 cards and like fold.
Well, it's kind of like the evolution of the kitchen table games is really dealer's choice now, which I feel like it's starting to come back in the sense that people feel like those games are less broken in a sense, where not as many people play, so the education level of the players is much lower. So like right now with Texas Hold'em, most players are pretty educated. Like you're not going to get some of those rinky-dink plays. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to work.
Guys, I remember playing poker when like raising with an ace on the button was not like a
standard.
Like it was like the good players were like raising with everything on the button and like just stealing the blinds. And like people didn't like realize that like, oh man, I'm out of position here. Like I can't like this. I remember when like bad players would never raise on the button.
Right.
Like it wasn't a thing. But now like even the bad players know like
I don't even look at my cards
on the button.
Right. I don't look at my cards until it's my turn, right? And then it would be like if everybody folds to me and I'm the button, I'm not even looking at my cards. I just raise. It's just me and the blinds left. Cool. Raise. It doesn't matter what my 2 cards are. And I'm not saying that like I'm this cool badass guy that raises every time from the button. But like that's just a standard play. And anybody in the small blind, big blind now, 5 years ago, you might have just gotten a fold, and you just go to the next hand, or you get one call, you hit the, you know what I mean? You see that again, and then you win the hand. Whereas like now people are starting to realize it's like the Princess Bride effect, I call it. Remember that guy when he was like, but you would think I would put the poison next to me, so in which case it was actually in front of you, but wait, there's more.
Right,
like he just keeps going down this rabbit hole.
Levels.
Yes, you just keep going where it was like, well, I know Ken knows that he would raise in the button with any 2 cards without even looking because I'm in the big blind, so I'm going to raise him back, and then I get to the button, I'm like, well, I know that he knows that he thinks that I'm just raising from here, so I'm going to hit him up. It's like then you get these wild like plays where it's like this like I don't know one up level each and every time. But I think it's really that is what it's like to play Texas Hold'em. That Princess Bride effect.
That whole entire mindset,
correct,
wasn't on around 20 years ago.
I don't even think that mindset was around 5 years ago. For the amount of people that have that mindset now, take that back to bringing it back to Omaha. Omaha is definitely a much more Wild West type thing. Like people are unsure about the plays, or they have not like completely. I hate using the term solved and broken, but like, and honestly,
it is
like
solved. It's a lot less. Solved
Omaha's a lot less solved. I mean, there's still lots of different points where people are doing things that you can recognize and be like, that's a play that I think this is what they're doing. But I mean, that's like the idea when you talk about ranges and things of that nature. I don't want to get into that because this is supposed to be like the nostalgia episode of like what we like to do. But
like if you think about it in Hold'em, there's only like 300. I'm just literally making this up because this is how long it's been since I've been in the Hold'em game. But like there's like 300 different hands you can get, like 300 different combinations. Ace 2, Ace 3, Ace 4, Ace 5, all the different hands. There's only like 300, something like that. I'm just making it somewhere. But I mean, in Omaha, there's thousands.
Right.
Which makes the math and the solving just so much harder.
So much different.
There's so much more combinations and different situations where, I mean, I know we're just going back to, we really are just PLO fiends.
We are, and that's the idea, and it's so much fun. But I mean, I think for me, I miss the kitchen table games. I miss that. We don't do that at family parties anymore. Like I miss that because I remember like my youngest cousin, who's a doctor now. He's a psychologist or a psychotherapist or some kind of therapist. Not a medical doctor, but other kind of doctor. And like I remember even CCG days because he's maybe a little younger than you. He's probably like 27. So yeah, So I'm like 13 years older than him. Like I remember him, like us playing, and like I remember me being at the kitchen table playing the games, and him wanting to get in. And I remember like one year he got a Texas Hold'em set, like the silver briefcase with the chips in it. That became like the new bicycle. Right. It was like a super nice set, and like, why did they always put dice in there? It's like this is funny. why do they always put dice in those, like, you know what I'm talking about, like the little dice? It's like, man, we're already buying kids like gambling stuff where it's like, at least it's poker. It's kind of more along the lines of like chess, and it's like a mental game, and we're teaching them mathematics. And like, I'm thinking of the good stuff for poker. But then it's like, hey, let's throw some street dice in there so these kids can just gamble the shit out of it after they're done. Hey, you want to shoot some street dice? Like, come on, guys. Who packaged this shit? But anyways, I remember him getting it one year, and I think it was like right when we started CCG, because he was probably, if I was 26, he was probably,
well, that'd be 13.
14. Yeah, 13, 14, probably. Anyways, that was pretty cool because I remember him like wanting to play, and like then it was like this generational change of, I remember watching my grandparents, aunts, and uncles playing at the kitchen table with quarters and nickels and dimes, and now he wants to get in. It was super fun. So like that was just kind of like a changing of the guard. I realized, man, I'm no longer like the rookie here. I've got a little experience underneath my belt, which I thought was pretty fun.
I got a 14-year-old cousin that
now I can rip the $20 bets all the time,
right, and drink a bottle of SoCo.
Right, which is great. I loved it. But yeah. I mean, that's really it. And then CCG started kind of on a whim in 2007, I think was the first event.
Which, again, I was 17 because I remember you guys just popping up and like me not being able to go there yet.
And the old days of that was still Money Maker Effect was full in effect. Online poker was just starting to boom. Like it was on like the initial upswing. So like imagine Bitcoin like first breaking like 3K and then like skyrocketing up.
Another thing, I remember going to CCG as an 18-year-old. If I ever like literally, served Dan, somebody there was like, hey, you need 100 FTP? Hey, you need 200? Oh,
yeah,
you need
it was
money?
like this whole subculture of like exchanging money on Full Tilt, which, good God, no one of those guys went to jail for a Ponzi scheme, but
I know. Thinking about it now, that
it's like it's a huge red flag. It's like, this cannot be good, but that's what it was. I mean, that's what happened. But it was wild. 2007 CCG was like the golden years. I mean, doing events at like the Carlisle, where they were literally, the early bird would have, I shit you not, Brandon, back me up here, 116 tables in it, 160 players.
So we would just
plus
set up 16 tables. We would set up 13 or 14 dealers. Like literally, like, now it's like, all right, hit up table 1, 2, 3, 4. You're on table 5 in the deep stack if we get there. Like it was like, start with 14. You're on 15 and 16 if we need there.
Right.
And then the bird was just $20 flat, no add-on, 3K in chips. And people would just buy 2 seats at the beginning because they know they're going to bust out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
there was no add-on. There was no break add-on. It was just $20 rips.
You just straight up mayhem. From hand number 1, player down. It
was great.
Rebuy. And we'd have 100 live players.
You know what? I will go on record for our 1-year anniversary for the overlay. I guarantee, I will try to put on a retro bird where we legit do $20 just $20 bills. That's it. That's all you need to bring. $20 bills, 3K in chips, 12-minute levels, and just rip through and see how many we can get. I mean, it was great. It was super fun.
And it was every event. It wasn't just like Black Friday. We're like, we get 400 people for the Black Friday bird. No,
it was never that big. But yeah, I mean, it was
Friday,
like 16,
Saturday,
17, Sunday. 18 tables. A bad day would be like a 12-table bird.
Yep. Like if we were at that Roselle or like that one by the car dealership, we're just going to do 10, 12 tables. Just start with 10.
It's going to be a slow day. Yeah, but you'd get like Ashton Place. There, Carlisle was a big one. The Odeum used to get great. The Odeum is where the original Black Friday started. We had no idea the first Black Friday. Again, normal bird was like 15. Busy as shit would have been like 18 tables. That was like crazy, unthinkable numbers.
And these are 10-handed tables, guys.
Full 10. Unthinkable numbers. And then all of a sudden, Black Friday rolls in 2007, and it goes from, a standard like 125 average to 250. Like there were 250 people showed up to play. It was nuts. There were literally.
And we kind of branded that and did the whole.
And then it continually got bigger. But yeah, like
prophecy.
In the old days of the Odeum, $25 sit and goes also were like poker crack. We used to joke about them, like you could just do them whenever, and like they would just pop off all day long. I kind of missed that because that was super fun. Just because
I remember the days we did. I remember Pat saying we did 40 sit and goes
in one day, 12-hour period or 10-hour period, whatever it was. Yeah, Black Friday, Odium days, they were so busy. I mean, you'd have cash games rolling, you'd have these massive tournaments. We're gonna get to the retro deep stack here in a second too. But like, I remember at the Odium, there'd be 25 to 30 tables set up like in the wintertime, and all of them being used. And there would be, again, this is mostly just Black Friday, but you'd have a Black Friday event where you'd have 25, 30 tables there. And I shit you not, there would be 30 people in line already prepaid for $25 sit and goes, waiting for a table to open up.
I mean, like, all right, 10 guys here.
Pre-selling. And as soon as the table opened up, it would like, the volunteer dealer would just stay in a spot and just keep ripping. And it was just like a factory, and it was bananas.
It was like a restaurant, honestly. And then, like as the sit and goes are busting down, because there's 4 of them going at the same time, the people that are busting are just getting back into that line.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that line is never it's never like the line just extinguishes. Like the line is like consistent throughout the day. Because, there's 4 sit and goes of 10 people. There's 40 people playing. Well, now all the sit and goes are down to 4 people each.
We call that the golden
The 24
years.
people are now in line.
The golden years of charity poker.
Yeah, it's so fun.
One last thing as a cool retro thing about poker in the past and kind of go from there. So, I mean, it's interesting how Brandon grew up in the internet age and, talking more about streamers and things of that nature, and me being more of like the kind of the underground kitchen games with your family, like not even underground games, like nobody played home games, like that shit was just not a thing. Like and then again, obviously it's like I grew up like through college and stuff, like that's when you start playing home games, and that was really big. But then online poker was still pretty prevalent, so I mean a lot of people were playing that, but it was still this weird, that was before everybody knew that you couldn't really, I mean you could still cash in and out. I mean it wasn't a big deal at all until it all went away. But it's fun to think about those things. But the best part to me is, and it's, again, it's talking about people being spoiled. Brandon, what was the chip count on the original OG $100 deep stack at CCG, which is $80 in the prize pool, $20 is what the hosting charity kept. $100 deep stack, go. 2007, circa 2007 deep stack. How much in chips?
It was either 8K or 10K.
No, 8.
I think it was
8,000 was the deep. 8,000 chips was considered a deep stack. That was 5K, plus there was a $5 add-on for another 3K in chips. So you got 8,000 in chips total with your add-on. That was a deep stack.
Right.
And
now our bird.
Now here we are.
Our bird is 5K, and if you add the breakout, it's 10K.
13
and
years later, 15 years later, whatever it is, almost 15 years. Yeah. Now the deep stack is 30K. Main events are 60K.
WSOP main event used to be 10K. Now it's 30K.
Yep. They held out for the longest time.
They did.
Well, yeah.
I mean, even when I played WSOP, it was a $1,500 buy-in. They only gave you 3 times your buy-in in chips. So the $1,500 was only $4,500 starting.
Yeah, that was always 3x to buy in. All right, well, let's do a quick ending of episode 44. Again, before we go, I want to say thank you to everybody for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're my Texas peeps. Show me tomorrow at the that you are hitting a 5-star review. You could literally just do it right in front of me. Even if you've already done it, do it in front of me so that I know. Save you $10. $10 add-on on me if you subscribe to the Overlay A Poker Podcast. Give us a 5-star
Great
review.
ROI.
$10 for literally 5 seconds. If you can do it in less than 5 seconds, I'll give you a bonus 20%. You figure out the math. But I do want to talk about one last thing before we go.
Okay.
1 year anniversary of the Overlay. You and I made a deal about a year ago, 14, 15 months ago, that when I was turning 40, you were turning 30, we were going to go to the WSOP. We were going to play the main event together. Not together, but like we wanted to do a Vegas WSOP event, which is like a true poker vacation, poker road trip, which we actually... It's actually turned out to be one of my more favorite episodes, episode 42, the Great American Poker Trip. Brandon and I were going to make the Great American Poker Trip to Las Vegas, the mecca of gambling. Obviously, pandemic happened and we couldn't do that. But Brandon, what is the good news that we just found out yesterday, which I find really funny that they released this information on April Fool's Day? But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just April 1st. They opened the cash. This is not a joke. WSOP 2021.
Isn't that how
dates.
Isn't that how every April Fool's joke starts? Like, this is not a joke. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it usually starts with the kid crying, saying that the water's running. And then,
yeah, my nephew got me good. He's like, Uncle Kenny, the water's coming out of the bathroom, and my mom's outside with the dog. And I was like, well, go outside and get her. What are you doing, dog? Did you jiggle the handle? What are you doing? You got to turn. Blah, blah, blah. Then he's like, haha, April Fools. I was like, damn it. Kid got me. All right, what's the big announcement from the WSOP, which they made yesterday?
Tentative dates for a full in-person series.
I think they're real dates. It's just they're putting that disclaimer on there as in case something happens. Like, it's part of, I think, what's going to happen with kind of COVID or post-COVID kind of big events. I feel like from now on, when you buy Bon Jovi tickets, there's always going to be a disclaimer at the bottom, like, due to a global pandemic, like, we are not responsible for any ticket prices. Like, it's going to be something. It's like a force majeure, some kind of like natural like disaster clause in contracts. But it's neat.
Yes.
So we are possibly going to be able to do a full blown WSOP trip in September, end of the year. Correct.
The main event is September 30th through November 23rd. Main event is November 8th through the 17th. November 4th through the 17th.
Oh, shit. That's right during my wife's birthday. I better be in it at that point. If I'm still in it on her birthday, she ain't going to be mad.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, and they're still going to do a summer series, the online, which none of us are super excited about because we can't play it anywhere where we listen to the podcast, which is basically Texas and Illinois. Maybe Illinois by that point. I mean, I'm assuming Illinois at some point here will have online gambling. Maybe next episode we'll do a full-blown like breakdown of online gambling and how it can and cannot come to Chicago or Illinois in general. But yeah, I think it's exciting that they put it out there. I think by September they're feeling like they're giving themselves some buffer time because like we're already in April, like May, June. You're talking about like 2 months away is when the actual WSOP should be starting. And
yeah,
I think they would be, I would give it like an 80% chance to go if they did it in the regular time frame, like Memorial Day through 4th of July. I think it would still happen. I think even like Illinois, one of the more restrictive states for like opening businesses, I think will be open by Memorial Day, or much more so than we are now, you know?
Yes, but I think that 20% risk isn't worth it.
Correct, because they don't want to have the trying to figure out what to do if it doesn't happen. So 100% I'm with you on that one. 100% I'm with you that it's 80-20%.
Yeah, that makes
perfect sense.
I had to tell this story. It's literally 2 seconds.
Good.
Literally probably the smartest dumb kid I know. I mean, straight A's in high school, top 10 in our grade, full IU scholarship. Now he works for like he worked for Deloitte and like U.S. Treasury in Chicago. I don't know. The dude's super smart, and he was learning like binary code. And he's like, you know what, man? He's like, you get into an Aces versus Kings, man. He's like, I don't care that it says it's 80-20. Like, it's 50-50. You either win or you lose. He's like, I don't care what the odds are. It's 50-50. Like, he's like dead serious.
Yep.
I'm like, well, bro, like, you know, like,
it's not 50-50. Yeah, it's 80-20.
Like 80% of the time. Like, he's like, well, no. He's like, Aces win or Aces lose.
It's funny. I used to know a guy when another moment of Ken's life that I didn't talk about was when I used to play limit poker at Hollywood Casino in Aurora, which was like 22, 23. Bert and I would go over there and play 5-10 limit. That's how I met King. That's why I've known King for 20 years, because I was there at like 22 and I'm 40 something now. So I mean, it's been almost 20 years that him and I have been friends. Loose term, but I do love King. He's a pain in the ass, but he's great for the game. So it's like this weird relationship to everybody in the room. Like, he's so annoying, but yet he's so good for the game. And he's genuinely fun. And like, he'll give you these like awful digs, and then he turns around and like, it's anyways, it's hard to explain him, and anybody who's played lately, like, you'll know who he is, and it is what it is. But anyways, that's how I met him, was playing 5-10 limit. But I use other guy. There were all these regular old guys that were like these grungy, like poker guys. Like, they just played limit every day, and they got there at 10 o'clock in the morning and they'd play and blah, blah, blah. They were awesome.
Smoke cigarettes and drink coffee.
It was awesome.
Gamble.
Like, it was like Nick the Greek kind of guys, you know, like, it was just, this is King. Like, that's just what they did. And they invited me to game in Greektown, this home game, which was fun. Bert and I used to go to, but that was 20 years ago. There was this guy who used to play with, an old crusty veteran, and I remember him saying, like, kid, It's 50-50. I was like, what? 50-50. Either I hit that spade or I don't. 50-50. And I was like, I don't think that math checks out, sir. I'm pretty sure it's not 50-50. He's like, trust me, kid. It's 50-50. You'll learn someday. 50-50. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to learn that. That sounds awful. And now I'm thinking back, like now PLO Kenny's like 50-50, jam in that 2K. Either I get it, either you hit it or you don't. Doesn't matter. It's 50-50. Wow.
So that dude that's probably no longer living.
Yeah, he's probably because he was like 70 when I was. I mean, he'd be 90 now. That guy would be a grizzled old veteran. He's probably playing bingo somewhere, going 50-50. I either get it, either that's old 31 hits or it doesn't. Doesn't matter.
Right. There's 14 numbers left, but it's 50-50.
50-50 for me. Anyways, oh shit.
What?
I didn't hit record.
You lying?
Nope, I didn't. Mother. Nah, I'm just kidding. April Fools, everybody. Thank you for listening to episode 44. Brandon didn't buy it for 1 second. Just like
fair,
I don't
guys,
believe
it has happened before.
Oh, it has happened before. Remember we did that 3 hours of really great commentary?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we are bringing back the RFID table. So two last bonuses, two last things, because this is our 1 year anniversary.
Going to the WSOP.
WSOP. Brandon and I will be there. So
Playing the main.
Please come and see us. We will be decked out in overlay garb. Maybe we'll try to do something cool since it's like so late in the year. Maybe we'll try to do like some legitimate like CCG, Paramount, satellites into the main, because I would love to go with like a little mini crew. That would be fun.
Also, I put our overlay hoodie. I put it in the dryer, and it's like 100% cotton.
Oh yeah, that shit shrinks fast.
And that 3X is now just an X.
So you got a free hoodie for somebody.
So Agent John can now wear the hoodie.
Worn by Brandon. It's a Brandon original.
Game worn. Overlay
That's
hoodie.
awesome. That's awesome. What was I saying? Oh, the RFID table is back. They're using it full time in Texas, like 3 to 4 days a week. It's great. Doing the final tables of some of the tournaments on the weekends. They're also starting to do some cash games on it, which is great because it's Texas, so they're doing like 5-5 no limit and stuff on there. It's really dope. I'm excited about that. Also, CCG, we're trying to bring back that table as well. So if you're looking to get in on the TV table and you're either in Texas or Illinois, come and see us at both because they are happening soon. CCG might be a little bit longer because we're going to have to wait until we get to that open 250 number, but should be soon. Brandon, happy 1 year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you for doing.
I can't believe these guys have been listening to us for a year.
Yeah, I can't believe we actually get hour-long episodes when we have no idea what we're talking about. Greetings, farewell from Houston, Texas. Brandon, give us a shout-out from your location.
Farewell from Chicago. It's going to be a great day for an event today.
It's a great day to play poker. That should be our new slogan, just everywhere.
42 and overcast. I mean, you can't go outside, but it's
52? Do you mean like 52 cards in a deck? Whoa.
No, like degrees.
No, I know. I'm just meant like in general. It's an odd number to pick.
Well, that's what it is. That's what my phone says it is.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Overlay Pod. Check us out in Chicago at CCG or see us in Houston. I'm here once a month. Brandon will be making a summer 10-week show stay like in Vegas. He's going to have a 10-week showing here in Texas for PLO Mania. We will see you guys soon.
It's going to be a lot of money for the Texans.
It's going to be great. The Texas economy will be bumped up significantly when the Chicago guys come down to play PLO. Wait till we get that epic battle going. Texas versus Chicago. It's going to be great. Thanks for listening. We will catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.